Hello students, as I have said that today we will start a new poem which is the poet's pen poetry, Matthew Arnold's poem Dover Beach. Matthew Arnold, who was a huge element of Victorian age. Victorian age is related to Queen Victoria, and the most important poet of that age is Alfred Lord Tennyson, the greatest figure of the Victorian age. But Matthew Arnold is just to the second to the Tennyson. This age was started in 1837 and to 1890. It is called the period of Queen Victoria. And this is the same period which is established about the Tennyson. Matthew Arnold, who was a famous poet in Victorian age, was born in England and was a critic by his profession. And he was educationist also, and he studied at Rugby, then he goes to the Oxford, and his poem Cromwell win for him the New Zealand Prize for his poem. As a young man, he met and admired Wordsworth. He liked very much to the Wordsworth who was a romantic poet. Wordsworth, who was the greatest figure of romantic poetry, and the time period of Matthew Arnold is 1822 to 1888. So he is the contemporary of Wordsworth at some time. The last time of Wordsworth is the starting time of Matthew Arnold. Wordsworth is the important figure of romantic period. There are four persons who were important in that period. First, William Wordsworth, then S.T. Coleridge, P.B. Shelley, and John Keats. These all are the figure of the romantic period. There are two important periods in English literature. First is Elizabethan period and then the Victorian period. Elizabethan period is related to Queen Elizabeth, and the Victorian is, as I have said, to Queen Victoria. This poem, Dover Beach, is related to a beach which was situated in somewhere in England. Poetry. Dover Beach appeared in the collection New Poem published in 1867, though critics found his poems gloomy and difficult. Some of his poems has an elegance and beauty and reveal his mature and scholar mind, because he was a critic also, and this poem shows his critical quality also. When a critic criticizes the other person, also be aware that people will criticize his poetry, so he make poetry with some carefulness. The poem. This poem is written by Matthew Arnold, who was a poet and born in 1822, and he was died in 1888. His reign is belonged to England. He was born in England, and the school and period of Matthew Arnold is Victorian. He is belonged to the Victorian period. The poem, the subject of his poetry. There are many subjects in his poetry. We found faith and doubt, praise, companionship, nature, seas, rivers, streams, love, disappointment and failure, living, religion, relationship, romantic love, and classic love. All these are found in the poetry of Victorian, his poet Matthew Arnold. Matthew Arnold belonged to the Victorian age, and these are all the subjects of his poetry. Now we will see the theme of the poem line to line. In first line, the poet wants to say the sea is calm tonight. The first line gives us two simple basic facts that it is night time and the sea is calm tonight, because there is no tide in the sea. But suddenly when we see in the second number line, the tide became full, means there are changes all over found in all around the world. We find changes in all around the world, and the tide is full, the moon lies fair, means the moon is very fair, means the full moon time is near. And here we get a little more description of the setting of poem. It's high tide, means it is full tide, the moon is out, and it is beautiful scenery all around there, because it is light moon today. So these two lines shows us at night scene, and we found that there is a beach near the sea which is called the Dover Beach, and it is very clear that the poet want to describe the Dover Beach's beauty, Dover Beach's calmness, and the silence of the time. Line number 3 shows us upon the strait on the French coast, the light. French coast means the French bank. Upon the strait means the strait, English Channel and the French strait and the Kiel Strait. All these are the ways or the little narrow lanes in between the sea. The moon that is lingering from the last line, well, it turns out that it lies fair upon the street because there is all everywhere there is light of the moon. The white color shows its elegance, its sublime, its tremendousness, its splendidness all around the way. So we can say the poet described the night scene of that place. Next, in line number 5, clean and it's gone and the cliff of England stand, means the moon is there before some time and now it is standing on the cliffs of England, glimmering and vast out of the twinkling bay. Suddenly the lights that has shined out and that disappear with Arnold's much and alliteration, and it shows the changeable time of our life. There is sadness, there is happiness, and all these two things mingle in our life. One by one they came in our life, and this shows the changing nature of the life. There is a light in before some time, and now there is darkness, and it shows there is a light and there is shadows. All both are found in our life. In line 6, come to the window, sweet in the night air. We also find out that he is talking to someone who must be in the room with him. That is his audience only, because there is no description of the poem. Come to the window. He requests to the fellow person that come and go to the window, sweet in the night air. We also find out that he is talking to someone who must be in the room with him, and that is his audience, none other else. So we can say he was talking to a person who was present there with him. In next line, line number 8, we see the speaker draw our attention to the edge of water. There are water and the surf, the long line of spray which was thrown by the currents of the sea. And instead of looking at the beautiful landscape as a whole, we are looking at the specific point where the sea meets the land at a place. And in line number 9, before we were imagining what this scene looking like, now the speaker tells his companion and us, the readers, to change the frame, to use one of our other sense, because he want to change our nature, he want to change our taste. Of fables which with the waves sucks back and fling there. It shows that grating sound from line and that come from the sound of fables, because there are we can find the fables near by the sea, and these fables are make sound by the currents. The currents came and the current goes, and we see that there is many motions in the sea. This is line number 10 and 11. Now I want to compress all these 10 lines. The poet want to say that the sea is calm, suddenly it became very wild, and then there is light of the moon which was coast on the French coast, and then suddenly it goes to the reef of the England. It shows the changeable nature of the life and the movement of life. And the gleams is gone and the cliff of England stand, glimmering and vast out of the tranquil bay. Come to the window, sweet in the night air, only from the long line of spray where the sea meets the moon blenched sand, and listen, you hear the grating roar. This line shows that he is talking to someone else. He want to make him, pursued him to go into the light of the moon and want to enjoy the light of the moon near the sea beach. These lines show his attitude towards the nature. As we see, the romantic poets very much enjoy the nature and its elements. In line number 12 and 13, we see that began the ease and then again and begin, and with tremendous sadness slow and bring the elements tone of sadness in. This shows the other part of the poem, that getting sound of the fable start and then stop. Suddenly the sound start and suddenly it is stop because there is a current after a long break, and then start again. The speaker has a fancy way of describe this rhyme, this rhythm of motion. He called it tremulous cadence slow. This show the poetic attitude. In line 14, he said that we started our calm and tranquil, but the first stanza ends on the much darker note with the introduction of the note of sadness. The first stanza of the poem shows us the sadness and note of sadness in the poem. Now, from line number 15 to line number last, there is the second stanza, which is the another part of the poem. And first of all, we have to know about Sophocles. Sophocles is a Greek philosopher who was also sitting near a river, and the same situation was found to him also, as well as the Matthew Arnold found himself in the position. We started out calm and tranquil, but the second stanza. Now the sound of the fable in the waves turn into a kind of time machine and take the speaker and us on a mental jolly journey back to ancient Greece. And he take us to the Greece where Sophocles is found. Sophocles was a Greek person, and these lines show Sophocles long ago heard it on the Aegean. Aegean is also a river, and Sophocles also sees all the same sound near the Aegean river. The poet wants to say that when he saw the currents and the roaring of the currents, he became very sad. The same situation was found with Sophocles. When Sophocles in Greek see the Aegean river and became very sad, and that time it brought into his mind the turbid ebb and flow of human misery. When a man just sit near a sea, the sadness and the happiness and the good time and the bad time as a reverse cassette became one by one, and they came one by one, and the person became very sad. It is all around the world. It is said that when a person sit near a sea and look at the current of the sea, he became very sad, as we found in most of our moving pictures. When a person want to express his sadness, he goes to the seaside and sit on the beach and then sing a song with in the memory of her beloved or lover. These lines shows that the Sophocles also, who was a great personality, also became sad when he saw the currents of a river, and the river was Aegean. And it brought into his mind the turbid ebb and flow, means the ups and downs of the life of human misery, which are about the human misery. Find also in the sound of thought, hearing it by the distant northern sea. And he hears the sound from the northern sea. The poet wants to say that he is also a mortal being, and he also became very sad. Now we can say that Sophocles is one of the Greek author of tragic plays. Sophocles was one of the great Greek author of tragic plays. He wrote most of the tragedies in Greek language, and the Shakespeare is known as the greatest tragic writer in English literature. You know, those bummer dreams where everyone ends up dead and miserable, you know, this is the place, the sea is the place where every person who became very doomed, who became very sad, came to there, and then he finds that there is nothing in the earth which can make a person happy, because there are sadness, there are ups and downs in the life which makes us sad. So we can see that these 20 lines of the poem show the two elements of the poem, the two sides of the poem. First 10 lines shows us that there is a situation, there is a Dover beach, there is a Dover beach which was covered by the light of the moon, and it was looking very good, and the writer wants that his companion or the reader also came with him at that situation. And the second 15 to 29 shows us about a great author, Sophocles, who was a Greek writer, and it shows that he also became very sad when he saw that there is a sadness in the life, and he found it near a river. Matthew Arnold became very sad when he goes to the sea, near the sea, and the currents which are going and coming and going and coming, they make him very sad. Now look at the line number 21. Line number 21, the sea of faith was once too at the full, and round the earth's shore lay like the fold of a bright girdle furled. It shows, oh, now we are really getting deep, because suddenly the sea grows from the being just a thing you look at or listen it at a full blown metaphor. It shows the poetic talent in the poet. The poet wants to say that once it was very full, and it shows the suddenness of the poet, and he became very grown, and only now we are really getting deep. We became very deep because we became very sad, because the sea of faith was once at the full. It was once very full in the olden time, and round the earth's shore lay like the fold of bright girdle fall. These lines shows his poetic quality because it is too full of metaphor. In line number 23, now we see, lay like the fold of bright girdle furled, and but I never only hear its melancholy long withdrawal roar. This shows that when the ocean of faith was at its height, it was like a bright girdle. This that is like a fancy belt. It's a girdle means there is a fancy belt rolled up around the word. This line shows that there is a belt all around this word, and it is covered the earth. In line number 24 and 25, sadly in this moment, the speaker thinks the sea of faith is long way from high tide and it is ebbing just like that. So we can say the poet became very success when he write this poem and composed this poem. Now line number 27. This line, the poet used here the simile. He started at the beginning of the stanza, comparing all the faith on earth on an ocean that is steadily pulling away. Which is pulling away? Retreat to the breath of the night wind and down the vast age, dear at the naked singles of the word. Oh love, let's be true to be one another, because the word is not very good for us, because we are a tiny creature on this word. So we should love each other, and this is very compulsory thing in this word. And for the word which seems to be lie before us like a land of dreams, and this word looks like a imaginative word, because it is very dramatic. In these lines the poet became very dramatic that we should love each other, because this word is very temporary. This word is lying before us and it is very unreal word. At the opening of last stanza, we are back where we were at the beginning of the poem, in the room of the age of the channel, and now these lines show the poet's attitude in this poem. In line number 31 and 32, to one another, for the word which seems to be lie before us like a land of dreams, so various, so beautiful, so new, hath really neither joy, nor love, nor light, nor certitude, nor peace, nor help, nor pain, and we are here as on the darkling plain. These lines shows his pessimistic ideas, because there has been a contrast running through the whole poem. On the other one hand, there is a pretty view of the moonlight water in first stanza, as we have seen that the scene is very plentiful of the sweetness and the fragrance, and water opens the poem. So in the present, in the word and the speaker and his lover can be before them, and things seem pretty much okay when they are young, when they are in the embracing of with their lover, but when the scene change and they become alone, it became very sad. In this line, the repetition of so and the repetition of the commas make a great effect in this poem. So various, so beautiful, so new. It sees the repetition of so, and the poem became very beautiful at that time. Hath really neither joy, nor love, nor light, nor certitude, nor peace, nor help. It shows the pessimistic attitude of the poet, that he said there is nothing for us. There is nothing in this world which is helpful to us. We are here as on the darkling plain, and swept with confused alarm by struggle and fight, where ignorance armies place by night. These lines show the truth. At least as the speaker sees it, it is not that the word is part good and part bad. It is that the poetry part, pretty part, which you can see the word of calm night and moonlight and peaceful beauty. It is illusion. It is the word here in the roaring of the surf there in real, and it is awful. It is very bad, because the present goodness and the happiness of life are temporary. The original and the first and last thing of the life is sadness, which shows the pessimistic ideas of the poet. The Arnold brings the whole thing to a crashing finish here with the famous simile, yea, this is one for the ages. Means he became very sad on these lines and said that this is one for the ages, means before many years. In line number 36 and 7, the poem slams shut on us with the end of this final simile that the speaker began in line number 35. And we are here on a darkling plain. It shows that speaker and his love are just not stuck in the dark, but they are swept by noise and confusion Pope are struggling, running away in flight, and sounding alarms. The lovers, speaker and the lover became very confused because, as well as the army men who are became confused in the mist time or in the fog time. They enter into the enemy's area and they fight with each other on the fog time or the mist time. So this poem ends with a note that there is no joy, there is no certitude, there is no peace, no help or no pain. Nothing is important for us in life than the brotherhoodness and the love between the two person. So we can say this poem is a pessimistic end and it shows the pessimistic attitude of the poet. The poet Matthew Arnold is related to Tennyson age, which is also called the tension age, because this time the science developed abruptly and it make much easier the life of person of England or Europe. And they became very lazy and they saw that there is nothing important than the brotherhood in life. The lover and the beloved, only two things is very really beautiful because there is the brotherhood in their life. If they find it, there is nothing can change their life, their attitude, their movement in the life. The last two lines shows that they should struggle and they should fight with the ignorance and running away and sounding alarms. The speaker and his love are not just struck in the dark. They don't want to lose their way as the army lose their way in the battlefield. One's army and the another one's army, the both army are confused because of the fist and because of the fog in a bad situation. And they fight with each other because there is a great confusion between them. So we can say the poet expresses his ideas about the confusion in the life of the person in this world. Summary. Dover Beach opened with a quiet scene. A couple look out on the moonlight water of the England Channel, listen to the sound of the waves, then all of a sudden it zoom out and we mean way out. So these, the opening lines of the poem is related to a couple who was sitting in the room and just imagine to go into the near to the sea or to the Dover Beach and where they want to find the love. And it is situated near the English Channel. Analysis. In Stephen Collins' opinion, Dover Beach is a difficult poem to analyze because its theme is very difficult to know. And some of its passages and metaphors have become so well known that they are hard to see the fresh eyes because they are very hard to know. Third, Arnold began with a naturalistic and detailed nightscape and the beach at the Dover in which auditory imagery plays a significant role. Listen, you hear the grating roar, means there is someone else in the room. These lines shows us there is also another person in the room who was present there and who was situated in that situation. And the beach, however, is bare with only a hint of humanity in light that gleam and is gone. There is, the poet want to say that sometimes there are light, there are happiness in our life, and sometimes it became in sadness, it became very regretful, awful for us, and the situation became against from us. This is the part of our life. The life which gives us the sad moment and the happy moment is a part of our life. So, in this poem, the poet want to express his pessimistic idea about the life. Now, I want to summarize the poem. The poem Dover Beach in the first stanza shows that we should enjoy everything by practical. We never depend on the bookish knowledge. We should go to the Dover Beach and then we enjoy the moonlit, because moonlight is present here and there everywhere, but we can enjoy it near the Dover Beach. And we should love each other because there are many sadnesses in this world. Only one thing is very grateful, that the brotherhood between us. In next class, we will read about Robert Browning's famous poem Prospice, and the next poem which we will read, the Ulysses, which was written by T.S. Eliot. Alfred Lord Tennyson. Alfred Lord Tennyson's famous poem Ulysses is related to courage, related to the invention of the new world, related to the life and the progress. In this poem, a king of Ithaca, wants to move and move on all the life. He never want to stop a place, and he want to search new things every time. He hates that there is a aged wife and a, there is an honest or can be said obedient son. All these are bored him because there is nothing variable, nothing is variation in the life, and he want to continue his fight, and he's wandering his quest for the word. So we will read tomorrow these two poems, and then we will turn to a Skylark, which was written by Wordsworth, and a poem Weather, which was written by Thomas Hardy. All these four poems we will read tomorrow in the next class. Today we have finished the three poems. First of all, we have read about Lines of a Photograph, which was written by R. Parsarthi, and second, we have read about An Irani Restaurant, which was written by Arun Kolatkar, and the last and the third, which is from Poet's Pen, is Dover Beach, and it is written by Matthew Arnold. Matthew Arnold, who was related to Victorian poetry. And next day we will read about Alfred Lord Tennyson, which is the greatest figure of this age. Tennyson, whose poetry mostly are related in the between the relationship, and but this poem Ulysses is a very encouraging poem, because in Ulysses as a wandering personality who want to quest, who want to conquer all around the world, and want to quest and want to continually gain the knowledge about the world. He never want to stop, because he said that if we stopped a place, it means we became dead. If we are going travel all around the world, means we will and we are very safe, and we are very knowledgeable personality, because stopping is the ignorance. If we stop the learning, it means we became dead. And To a Skylark, which was written by William Wordsworth, and the last poem Weather. These are two little poems which will be read tomorrow, and then until then, have a good day. Thanks.